Okay, I'm seeing it now.
Okay, great. What do you see?
I see. It looks like your mail potentially. Okay, and then I see WinZip.
Okay, let's go to that. We'll just go to the site.
Awesome. Okay.
And see these home here and home here?
Yeah, I do.
How do we get rid of those? No, wait a second.
Yeah, so those are the breadcrumbs. Do you want to just like like hide them on the homepage? So
Yeah, because what happens is even when the site looks live,
yeah.
they're there. If you click on them, it brings you to like the edit page.
Yeah. Okay. So the easiest thing I think to do is if you like hover over those, the little pencil icon appear over on the right hand side. So yeah, if you kind of like go all the way over to the right hand side, it's kind of tricky to get to, but there's that pencil icon. Yeah, click on that, and then say configure block. And so, do you want to hide this only for the home page, or do you want to just remove it for all pages?
I think all pages.
Okay.
Because if you go to I'm gonna open up another.
Sure.
There are people, and then it goes home people.
Yeah. Yeah. We could just hide it then. That might be the easiest thing to do. I'll show you a couple.
And then if I click on home,
Mm-hmm.
it was back here.
Yes, it's going to
Instead
like
of
the.
home here.
Yeah, it's trying to because home is trying to go to the base of the actual website instead of the subsite that we've created here. So there's a couple of things you can do. The easiest thing, well, first before we do that, I'll show you how you could hide it for just a home page if you wanted to. So if you click on the Pages tab, like
Tim,
yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt, but could you do one of those YouTube videos?
yes, actually, so I am recording right now. So yeah,
Oh,
I definitely double check with you before I post anything. But so I'll post this if that is the easiest way to go through some of this.
okay.
Does that sound okay?
I'd like to reference back on it.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I find it.
Yep. That makes
Okay,
a
I'm sorry.
no. That's okay. That makes a lot of sense. So yeah. So we're recording this right now, and then I'll post this when we're done, and I'll send you a link so you can always refer back to any of this stuff.
Great, thanks.
Sure. And okay. So on this block configuration page, if you look like on the left hand side underneath visibility, you see where it says content type, content types, pages, roles. If you click on pages, this is actually an interface to like hide and show this block, which is the breadcrumbs on certain pages. So had you wanted to just remove this from the home page, you could actually go and see where it says hide listed pages. It's a little radio button there. If you click that,
Yep.
yep, if you click that, and then basically you put any pattern up there that you want to hide from. So for instance, do you see where it's like
Oh, here.
yeah, so you could write and it says in the little help text below it where it says bracket the word front and then a closing bracket, kind of looks like HTML. That's the pattern for the
So
home
it's
page.
So we'll do something like,
So it's actually it's even simpler than that. For the home page, you actually only need to do it's like a less than or greater than sign, and then the word front, and then the closing, and it's actually in that little help text right below the box that you're on. So if you read that and you go all the way to like kind of that last section of that help text, it says specify pages
oh, okay.
by path. Do you see where it says front there for the front page?
Yep.
Yeah, so that's the replacement pattern there. Yeah, exactly.
So I just put,
Yep.
and that would just remove it from the front.
Yep, exactly. But in this case, we want to remove it from all the pages. So that you could do that if you only wanted it gone from the front page. But in our case, we're actually the easiest thing to do would probably be to go down where it says remove block and just remove the block completely. So all the way down at the bottom of the page in that red text, yeah. So we don't want it on any of our pages, so we'll just remove it. But you could always do more fine-grained visibility settings if you wanted to.
Nice. Nice. Okay, great.
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 Yeah, so now you shouldn't
And
see
the
that
other
anymore.
thing is, I'm sorry?
And yeah, now it should be gone, so it's not confusing people. Because yeah, the navigation of that was a little bit funky. Cool.
Awesome.
Great.
Okay. And now the other thing I'd like to do is, you see this MBR
Mm-hmm.
logo?
Yeah. I do.
Actually, hold on, Tim.
Yeah.
I think what happened to the menu?
That's interesting. So yeah, can you go back to the other home? Was that on this page before? Oh no. Okay, so maybe so so this must have. Sorry, this is my fault. I should have possibly anticipated this. So there must be a theme setting where it's looking for the breadcrumbs and the main menu. In order to display the main menu, it's probably looking for that breadcrumbs block. So removing that probably was not the best thing. We can add it back in. Let's try to add it back in real quick, and then we'll go from there. So do you see where it says structure in the main menu? Let's click that. Let's go to our block layout. And we're on the correct theme, right? So we're in the Drupal 8 W3 CSS theme. So if you scroll down, actually, if you go back over to block layout, and if you scroll down a little bit, now I can't remember where the breadcrumbs were placed before. I wonder, was it in the header? Do you remember? We could try that. Let's try
Hold on.
Oh wait, actually, in the primary menu. Oh, you got one there.
Before. I
Yeah.
haven't refreshed.
Okay, that's good. Yeah. Can you right click on that blue the darker blue bar there, and we can kind of inspect and see where this might be coming from. So yeah, and then say inspect there. Yeah, perfect. And then okay, so then can you make that where the HTML is in the top right? Can you make that window a little bit bigger by just like you should be able to drag the rest of that stuff down. Yeah, so if you drag that, oh, perfect. That works. Okay, so end main navigation. So horizontal. Can you scroll up a little bit in that section there? End main navigation. Start main navigation. End header. Okay, so start main navigation horizontal. So there must be a region called main navigation, which is interesting. Okay, so let's go back over to the blocks in the other section there. Okay, is there anything that says, anything in here that says main navigation? Interesting. Let's try to place, do you see the breadcrumbs section? Let's try to place a breadcrumb back in there. Yeah, let's click place block here. And then in the filter by block name, that little box there, yeah. Can you search for breadcrumbs? See if there's anything that pops up there. Okay, yeah. Let's place that block here. Let's just see if we can check this thing back into coming back up real quick. And then you can just save this block and see if that does anything for us. We probably won't want to display the title, but we can fix that in a second. Okay, and then if you just open your other tab over on the right-hand side and just reload that, see if anything happens there. Okay, so the breadcrumbs are appearing again. Okay, so can we go back to the other tab again and then edit our breadcrumbs and see if we just remove and configure, yeah. If you click configure there, and then just remove the title, the display title, yeah, click that and save that and reload, see if that does anything. Because it's interesting that the main navigation went away there. It's Okay, so maybe it's not related to this, because this looks like it's exactly how we had it before. Okay, can we go back to our block? And I gotta figure out where. Okay, so we have a highlighted. Can you like do a quick like page? Oh, main navigation disabled. Can you actually click enable to the right of main navigation disabled there? I don't know how that happened all of a sudden, but do you see what I'm? Yeah, exactly. Click enable right there. Yeah, that's our problem. I don't know how that happened. It must have just maybe we had it open just for like editing stuff, and then when we saved it, we saved everything. I'm not sure, but now if you click back to the other side, I think we would be better with the main navigation again. So if you click back to that the tab to the right, yeah, and you reload that, I would like to think that that would be back. Okay, so that's back, and now we can actually go and I think we can disable the breadcrumb again. So sorry about that. So you come in the breadcrumb. Actually, let me show you a different way that we can disable. Yeah, you can disable it right there. Yeah, that's fine. That's probably the best way to do it. You could also hide it with your visibility settings and things like that. But that's probably the easiest way. And let's make sure that our menu is still working. Okay. Okay, that's better. So yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure exactly what triggered that disable of that menu, but it might have been kind of an incidental thing that we accidentally did. So I think, we're okay here. And now that we have our main menu, that seems to be working. The breadcrumbs are gone, so that seems good.
So the next thing I'd like to do is, I thought it would be easy to do, but I don't know why I couldn't get it to work.
Okay.
Although I want this moved over here.
Yeah.
First, I wanted to change it so that I have a different logo on a post. I want to replace it.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, do you want to do that first?
Yes, please.
Okay, so let's edit so if you hover over the NBER logo and you get the little pencil icon, yeah, let's click edit. Oh, and click edit. And so this is kind of like, we took two approaches last time. We had the long, like, drawn out one, and then we had the...
Okay, I'm going to go back here.
Yeah, so if you go up, I believe, on that page there, if you scroll up a little bit, there's the logo home at the top there, that custom block. Do you see that in the header? Yeah. If you click to the right of configure, there should be an edit. Oh, is there an edit section? Oh, I don't know if you can edit it from here. So yeah, you can't. You actually have to go back. I thought they would give you an edit widget there, but they didn't. So if you go back, actually, and
Back to the site.
yeah, you can do it either way. So you can do it from the little pencil icon thing if you want. So you could you can go and if you click edit, yeah, exactly. Okay, so here it is. So now if you click the source here, so do you remember under the body section there, they have all those little buttons? Yeah, if you click source there, so you can see that we have this kind of source with an image here already. So we want to really upload a new image, but what I do first is, do you see where the A tag is there? The ahref equals www.nber. I would copy just that tag there. Yeah. From that point, just to the end of, actually, without even the image inside of it, I would just copy that first section until where the opening image tag starts. So back a little bit to the left still. A little more, a little more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Just right about there, exactly. I would copy that. And then I would remove all that stuff there. We actually don't need any of this stuff anymore. So let's just completely delete all this.
So to replace an image, you need to go in and edit. You can't just replace it and it won't write it over.
Yeah, so it's kind of since we did it this is like the quick and dirty way. So remember we tried two different approaches. The other approach would have allowed us to just upload new images and it would automatically replace. It's a little more sustainable and reusable, and that was kind of what I was trying to get at the last call. This way is a little bit quicker, but also a little bit harder for someone who, like, I think you're okay with it because you know HTML, but like if someone were to maintain the site that doesn't really know HTML, then all of a sudden they're in this kind of situation where this isn't really easily maintained by them, right? So it's all about kind of like this. How much should we make configurable in the site, and how much should we just kind of leave up to custom work? So we've kind of left this as a custom piece, but it's not going to be overly difficult for us to do. It just makes it a little bit less sustainable for somebody else without a technical background to do, if that makes sense.
Okay, so I'll save this.
So, okay, yep. So you don't have to save it yet. So actually, click the source button one more time. Because we actually have to use the widgets now. So if we click over to the left where that little image widget is, yeah, click that. We're going to upload a new image. And then browse on your computer and grab the image there.
If I can remember what it is.
While you're looking for that, the other thing that we lose by doing this is the other way that we approach this. Remember, we had those cached image styles. So the thing that would automatically crop and scale the image for us. And when we do it this way, we really are relying a little bit more on having the images cropped and scaled before we upload them. So it's the kind of thing where like the person who's uploading them, the content editor, will have to probably open up Photoshop or some similar editing software and just make sure that the image is the correct size before they upload it.
Okay. All right. So what is it? I couldn't remember the name. Sorry.
That's all right.
Why isn't it finding it?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Can you download it again and then grab it?
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
And I'm gonna know.
Yep, and then just add a quick alternative text that's just so when someone's a non-sighted user's on your site and they have their screen reader, it'll tell them what the actual picture is about. So that sounds good. And then save that. And now we're going to click back into the source here. And again, so instead of the P, well, I think, yeah, we might have, yeah. We want that A tag that we had before, which I don't know. I think you might have copied something else since then, which is fine. We can make that again pretty quickly. But so we'll just delete the P tag and we'll make it A. Yep. And then so the A will also have a space and then the href inside of it. And then href equals. And that actually has to be inside of the A tag. So instead of like a closing, yeah.
I know. I forgot the time. I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. And then so yeah, it'd be like A space href equals, and then yeah. Yep, great. And then it looks like there's still a little angle instead of a space in between the A and the href. So just make that a space. Great. And then at the end of this, yeah, and you can get rid of the P. It's going to add it back in automatically. Yeah, and at the end, close A. Perfect. That looks great. So from here, yeah, you can get rid of it or you can leave it. The editor's going to try to add it back in anyways. And then if you just save it now, we should have the new image uploaded. Great. Is that what you're looking for there?
Exactly. Yes. Thank you.
Awesome. Great. And then make sure it's...
Oh,
What's that?
I'm just gonna refresh here. Okay, looks good too.
Perfect. Okay, great.
Okay, so the two things that I couldn't get to work, and I tried.
Mhm.
So the CSS changing the position in this in the font so that it would be the Georgia Times New.
Sure. Sure. Yeah, that makes sense. Let's take a look at that. Do you want to look at the positioning of this first?
Sure.
Okay, so can you right-click on the image there and just so I can take a look at what's going on there and then inspect element? Perfect. Okay.
And I mean, okay.
And so if we let's see. So if we scroll up a little, if you click on one of these parent, yeah, I'm trying to think of where the best place is to actually grab this. So can you click on the div that surrounds this image? So there's the href, and then there's an image, and then there's a div that says class w3 section field. Do you see that?
I'm sorry.
Sorry. So a little bit to the right of your cursor in the HTML window. Yeah, exactly. So do you see how the blue highlight is over where it says image alt equals MBER logo? Yep. And then that's inside of an A tag, and then that A tag is inside of a div that has a class W3 hyphen section. Do you see that? So up a little bit, very, very little bit. Oh, right there. Yeah, exactly. Can you click on that for a second? Yeah. Okay. So I think this is what so you see how it's highlighting on the left-hand side there? So that the middle section is in blue, and then it has some yellow on the outside of it. So actually, here's a quick thing. So on the right-hand side where the CSS is, scroll all the way to the bottom of that pane real quick. All the way down. Oh, it doesn't have it in the. This is because this is Edge. So Chrome and Firefox will give you a little thing that shows you what is what. It'll give like a little box representation, but basically, you have
You want to open? I can look at it.
It's not super critical. I can explain it to you in a second of what it is, but if you want to take a look, that's fine. So yeah, so.
I had it.
Okay, and then so if you click on the div above the image there, so it goes image, then A tag, then P tag, and then there's that div W3 section field name body. Do you see that? Yeah, and you can even go as high as like the yeah. So if you just do you see where it's highlighted on the image right now? And then right above that, there's the A tag. Yep, you're in the right spot. And then there's A tag, and then there's a P tag, right above that. And then the next layer up, there's a div. Yeah, click on that. So do you see how it's like highlighting yellow on the outside and then blue on the inside? So if you scroll all the way to the bottom of the CSS in the right-hand pane that you're looking at, yeah, scroll all the way to the bottom there. So, yep, you had it there for a second. So do you see this right here? So this tells you kind of how the highlighting works. So it shows you what the margin is, it shows you how big the border is, it shows you the padding, and then it shows you the actual element size. So basically what you're seeing here is this section has some margin, has the main section in there, and all the browsers would do that. Just Chrome gives you this nice little box representation so you can see it. So those are kind of the different components of spacing on an individual element. And in our case, we just have an element, and then we have some margin around it, right? So you can use this kind of as a quick guide to see like why things are taking up the space that they're doing, and like what they're doing, and like all the different properties of it. So when you're clicked on this div here, you can see that it goes all the way across the screen, right? So it starts on the left-hand side, but it doesn't end after the little logo. It spans all the way to the other side of the screen, and that's a typical of a block element. And divs are by default, they're block elements. So, and you can see that the margin is around the top and around the bottom of this element, and that goes all the way across the screen as well. So let's go up a little bit, and let's click on, so on the left-hand side where you're highlighted where the div class W3 section is. Yeah. So can you go up a little bit and just click on the section? Yeah. So the section is block logo home. So this is probably what we're going to grab. So we have this nice ID here that says block logo home. And what we're going to do is we're going to probably manipulate this to have the style work for us. So again, over on the right, now that we have this selected, in the right-hand pane, if you scroll up on the CSS all the way to the top, yeah, take that and go all the way to the top. Okay, so do you see where it says elements.style? Yeah. So this is a shortcut. So what element style is really doing is it's representing inline style. So if you've been doing HTML for a while, you might remember back before we had external style sheets where we would write them in these like little dot class name curly bracket things. We used to write all the style code right in the HTML itself, right?
Inline, yeah.
Yep, exactly. So what this element.style is doing is it's really just replicating what it would look like if we were to add inline style to the element that is selected in the HTML pane on the left-hand side, right? So we have the section id.block hyphen logo home selected, and the element style is just like, okay, if we were going to add inline style to this, what would that look like? So now we can actually go in and represent that. So for instance, we can do what we did last time. We could do right float, and then and then left, or sorry, right, and then margin, So that's what we did last time. Okay, so and then if you expand this window, so right now it looks kind of funny, right? Because the window is so small. If you grab like grab that and open it up a little bit to the right. We'll see if this does anything for us. Okay, nothing's happening for us. Okay, so that's interesting. So, yeah. So let's grab.
In the inspect, not.
Yeah. So what I think is happening. So if you click back on the section, see you're on the div right now. Click and then click back over into the right hand side and say. Yeah, so exactly. So actually, if you go back up to the click on the element style real quick, Debbie, just so we can show how we can get this working. I think if you click into this box here, into a new and create a new piece of style. If you say display block, I think that may make it work for us. So yeah, just like click to the right of where it says margin top. Yeah, and then say display. Yeah, exactly. And then go to the right, like do a colon and say block.
Okay.
And then enter.
Inline block?
Nope, just regular block. Yeah, just regular block should do it, I believe.
I think it wants inline.
Yeah. You should be able to specify a regular block in there. If you just click in, you got to click into it though. So right now it's not in an edit mode, so click it. Yeah, click it again.
Again?
Yeah, it's got to get into an. It doesn't look like you're in an edit mode right now. You have to. Yeah, there you go. Now you're in an edit. So you don't have to. Yeah, and then press tab. If you click into it, and then you can press tab. Yeah, it's a little funky to get used to the editor first. Yeah. If you just click on it, it should open up in an edit mode. Yeah, click on the actual word. So like where it says inline block, if you actually click on the word, yeah, there you go. Now you're in an edit mode. So then just yeah, exactly. Just write block there. Yeah. Okay, and then enter.
Sorry.
That's okay. And it's a little funky getting used to it. And okay, so and then do one more that says position relative, and I just want to see if that does anything for us. So create one more. Yeah, exactly. Position, relative. Okay, so interesting. So it's not doing what I expected to do. So you're probably right. I think if you do get that W3 block, you could probably manipulate that style. It's interesting that we're not getting that to jump over right now. I'm curious if that title is taking up all the space and not allowing it to jump over, actually. So can you click on? Can you open up the window a little bit again, so we can have a little more space on the? Yeah, just drag that a little bit to the right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So. I'm curious, can you click on the NBER Science of Science funding project and let's see what space that's taking up right now? And then inspect it. Yeah, exactly. So like right hand click on it and then inspect that. Okay. So yeah, that's taking up space. So let's so can you click on the section ID there? Yeah, exactly. And then let's just can you just float this left real quick and in the element style there and just see what happens if we do that? Yeah. Interesting. Okay. Well, that's okay. You can uncheck that. Now we'll get rid of the inline style there. So if you click on, yeah, exactly. So it's funny. I'm not sure exactly why our logo doesn't want to float to the right. There must be something with how the section HTML element's behaving that's making it so it doesn't want to do that. Um,
Oh, oh, where did I go?
that's okay. I think you clicked on the actual link. That's fine. Um, okay, so yeah, so let's write.
I think, I, I think when we did it last week,
We did it on the actual div, probably. Yeah, so let's try it again on the. You can try it on the div and see if that makes a difference. Actually, so instead of the section that we grabbed, see right below it, the child element there, that div.
um,
Yeah,
here,
you can try that. Okay, yeah. And I wonder if there's any. Have you added any important tags to this by chance? Because there's a chance that some of our stuff is getting overridden that way too.
no.
Okay. So if you grab this in the element style, if you say float right, does
Can I just do one thing?
sure.
Let me just, where is it? Oh, it's on it. Where is it? Um, oh. Sorry, that's my phone, but I'm not gonna get it, okay?
Okay.
I was looking for a CSS file, but I couldn't find it.
Oh, okay. Like the actual one that's being used to edit this.
Yeah. So what should I do?
Okay. So
What should we do?
I just opened up a window on my own. So it seems to work if you grab that div, yeah, where you're located right now. If you just float right now, if you on the element style, if you write, yeah, exactly. If you write float right here, it should work. So something funny's happening with the section there. I could look into that, but it's probably not super important for us right now. So yeah, if you just write float right now here, that should work. Yeah. Yeah. So there you go. So that seems to work, right?
What? We did that before, though, didn't we?
Yeah. So actually, we were grabbing the section above. So see the parent element there. Section ID equals block logo
Oh, okay.
home. So something funny's going on with that, and that's so something weird was going on there that was making it so we couldn't really do that. I could look into what is actually happening there, but I don't want to waste your time on this call while I try to figure out what it is. I can look into that and I can follow up with an email to see if we can get that working. But for now, I think this is probably okay.
Okay.
And it looks like you the alignment looks okay on your section there. Yeah, perfect.
How come it keeps...
So what's happening there is see that 16 pixels
Oh,
in.
sorry.
Yeah, do you see why it keeps getting crossed out there? So in below that your element style window, do you see where it says .w3 hyphen section there? And somebody's putting a margin top with 16 pixels, and they're using the important flag. And so this is why the important flag gets kind of dangerous. It has the potential.
That's my what?
See this important flag next to the 16 pixels? Do you see where I'm looking? Okay, so sorry, to the right of your cursor, over in the CSS window on the very far right. Yep, up a little bit. See that section right there exactly. So that 16 pixels important style is getting applied, and basically when you get that strike through in your CSS that you're writing, is basically saying that something else is overriding it. So In, important tags will override anything besides other important tags that are defined below it. So in this case, inline style is very specific and usually will override most things, but since the important tags are there, it's not even specific enough to override those 16 pixel margin top, margin bottom declarations. So that's why I typically say to use important tags very sparingly. I don't usually use them at all. Sometimes I'll use them for something like if there's like a JavaScript kind of thing that needs to basically on a certain state override something. Sometimes I'll use them, but typically I try to make my style like really specific. So there's never any situation where like something like that is kind of preventing us from adding the style that we want to add, if that makes sense.
And can I just try to do it in the editor?
Yeah,
In here?
yeah, exactly. Let's do that.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Unfortunately, would you prefer I open a Chrome? You know what? Why don't I just do that?
You're okay, and I'm okay with you using Edge or whatever you're using there. It doesn't make a difference to me really. Whatever you're comfortable using is fine. I just wanted to show you that.
I usually always use Chrome, but for some reason my left screen I always go into Edge.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, we end up like I fall in those patterns too. I use Chrome for a lot of kind of like internet browsing stuff, but I prefer the Firefox debugging stuff these days. Firefox has some like really great developer tools, and they make it really easy to do a lot of things. So when I'm doing development, I spend a lot of time in Firefox, but I definitely use Chrome for just like kind of browsing like email and things like that. So I totally get that.
It looks much different than what we just did in Chrome.
Yeah, it's a little.
You know what? I think.
Well,
I think I just.
do you want to open it in the actual editor, Debbie, and that way we can try to make sure that the change saves?
Sure. Where is it?
So do you have? So this is probably on one of your servers somewhere at this point, right? So how do you typically get? Are you touching any of the code that's on the server, or when it's on the server, you're not really touching the code anymore at that point?
Well, I've been looking.
Yeah. So, so you like ideally you would be able to actually go and edit the CSS inside. Okay, so you're in the Drupal sites. Okay, so go to Drupal sites. Sorry, go to the Drupal folder. It's a couple folders up right now. You're in sites default files. So if you go all the way back to Drupal. Yeah, one more. Okay, and then you go to themes. Yeah, exactly. And so, yep, exactly. And then in here you.
This is where I tried to do it,
Okay.
but I couldn't.
So yeah, I would go into the custom folder probably. I'd probably go into that folder, and then so you can I might go into component.css to be honest. And so this kind of gets into what we talked about before with sub themes being pretty important. So right now we're making the changes in the actual parent theme, and there's a chance that our changes, if we end up updating this theme, there's a chance that our changes will get overwritten. I'm not sure exactly how the custom folder of this will work, but having a sub theme.
Well, here's the thing. Do I have to? Is it necessary to update the theme?
No, you can choose not to update the theme, but sometimes they provide some really nice either security updates or other type things that make your development or your usability easier on the site. So it's nice to have the option. Was that?
I think because this is just a temporary site.
Yeah, I think you're.
I think we'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. I think you'll probably be fine. Just kind of like so for like future stuff. Usually having a sub theme can provide a lot of advantages. Okay, so in here, you could add it to this file or a different file. I mean, I might scroll all the way to the bottom and just like add my own custom thing. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to grab that class So yeah, so if we go back to our browser and we have to find that specific class that we want to override. So yeah, so
Hold on. Ooh,
perfect. Yeah, okay. And so do you see where it says um, so okay, so the best way to do this I think would be and if you're not familiar with CSS, just kind of bear with me here. So we want a specific declaration on this. So a good way to do that is, do you see where the section above says it has an ID of block hyphen logo home? So that is ideally when you see ID, that means there's only really one on the page. There shouldn't really be two of the same IDs on a page. If there is, like, that's not really great. So typically you can say, like, okay, this is a good anchor point because it has this nice strong ID here, right? And then even though this isn't the class we want, we know that there's a nested element in here called field hyphen hyphen name hyphen body, right? So with the combination of those two elements, we should be able to make something very specific. So let's switch back over to your editor real quick.
okay. Where did it go? Hold on.
Okay, so then do the pound sign, so like shift 3. And then I think was it block hyphen logo home? I can't remember. I have a like a short term memory. Um, I believe it's block hyphen then logo home, one word. Yep. And then do a space, and then do a dot, and I believe it was field hyphen hyphen. I think it's field hyphen hyphen. I think there's a little typo there. Yep, LD. Okay, hyphen hyphen. Um, oh, but yeah, something. Yeah, I think it was. We should check back on that because it's gonna. We have to be really specific to make sure we have these right. So I think it was, yeah, block hyphen logo home, and then let's see. So block hyphen logo home, and then we have field hyphen hyphen name body. Yep. Okay. Exactly. Name body. You had it right. So, and then I would just get rid of that second
No.
field. We don't need that. Yeah. Exactly. And then do a curly bracket. An opening exactly. And then jump down to the next line, and give two spaces or whatever. And then yeah, exactly. You don't even need to. That's just a formatting thing. So yeah, float right. Colon. Yep. Or semicolon. Yep. And then margin top, exactly. Semicolon. And then just close your. Yep. And that bracket actually has to go the other way that to close and close this. Perfect. Nope, that's great. And then if you save this,
This is in components. Hold on. Okay.
okay. And now if you go back to your website, assuming that we're on the right server in the right place, we should be able to. And one thing to really just make sure that we're getting this 100% is, yeah, let's first reload it, see if that works, and then if that doesn't work, let's try clearing the caches. So can you go to in your main menu there? Can you go to configuration?
Okay.
Yeah.
Configuration.
Yeah.
So Jim, you can actually use the inspect feature and make actual changes that will save.
Not unfortunately, no, not really. So there were a couple projects way back in the day that tried to allow you to do that. So that would actually allow you to kind of like save through your browser automatically to the back end. But typically, the way that I've always done it, and the way I see the large majority of people do it, is you make the change on the front end with the inspect to see what the change would be in real time, and then you just kind of go and replicate those changes on the actual file on the server, or locally or wherever you're developing. So it's kind of like a it's a little duplicative, which is I remember when I was first doing it, I was kind of frustrated with the fact that I had to go and do it first on the front end of the website and then go save it later. But it is the way I see most of the development done these days. So actually, can you go to see? Do you see where it says development on the left hand side, and there's performance is one of the links? So if you at the bottom of the page on the left hand side, there should be Do you see where it says performance? Click that. And so typically, when you make any kind of changes, Drupal caches a lot of different layers of things. So we just really want to make sure we're clearing the caches to make sure our changes. So click the clear caches button. And you might want to keep this window open just in case, because we might be clearing caches a couple times. So I'll take a little second. Okay, and then click the tab to the right there. Click that tab, and then reload this page and see if any of our styles are coming through. And to really make sure they're coming through, so we'll inspect the element just to make sure. Like if nothing changes, we should at least inspect the element to see if the changes are coming through there and possibly getting overridden by something else. Oh, but there it is. Okay, so that looks pretty good. It means at least something is happening there, right? So it looks like our margin is still messed up. So if you right-click and inspect the element there. So there's a couple things you can do here, right? So if you scroll, so then click on the, make sure you have the, so it looks like it actually opened up the title there. So now we have this kind of thing where the title's it's technically overlapping the image possibly. So we might have to fix that so you can actually click on the image. Does that make sense?
No, I understand. Let me close it.
Yeah. So like when you tried to click on the image, so can you actually click on that? So can you actually click on that and you can't see how it's not highlighting and the link is not popping up? So what's actually happening here is you see the NVR Science of Science funding project title. That's actually overlapping the NBER logo. So like that's where those little boxes come in really helpful, because it doesn't look like that's overlapping at all, right? Like how could that possibly be overlapping our image? But that box goes all the way across the screen and it overlaps this little tiny logo here. So we have to make sure that we're putting this like inline block or something like that so it stops doing that. So we can look at that too. So let's do that first, I guess. Let's click on the title there, or try to click on the logo. Either way, it should work because it's overlapping. And then inspect that.
I prefer to do it in Chrome.
Okay, yeah, Chrome, that works. And so let's first reload this page, because this is actually getting our inline styles from before, right? It's not getting our actual new style. Oh, you did? Okay, perfect.
I did.
Perfect. So yeah, so can you yeah, try it. Okay, so it looks like you can click on it here. Okay, that's good. So just inspect the element there. Okay, and so yeah, so then if you click on the div section there, below the section ID, so this is what we actually styled, right? So you can see that our margin top is getting crossed out again, right? Our margin top 25 pixels that we just made is getting crossed out. So there's a couple things that we could do here. The better way would probably be to find where this margin top 16 pixels important is being declared and removing those important tags. The easier way might be to add important tags of our own, right? So where it says margin top 25 pixels, where we save that, we can add our own important tags to hopefully override the important tags that somebody else had added here. Yeah, exactly. If we were being really thorough, it probably makes sense. And I usually put a space in between the pixel and the important. I'm not sure if that will work with or without the space. It might work either way. And then semicolon. Then a semicolon.
Is that right?
Nope, a semicolon. Yeah, exactly. And then save that. Yep, and then if you go and you clear your caches again and do that whole situation again, you should be able to see the new thing and see if it overrides or not. So since this is kind of a temporary project, I think that's okay. But typically, if we were like working on kind of like the redesigned site or with a larger team, we'd have to be a lot more careful about throwing important tags all over the place, just because it starts becoming a little bit unwieldy to work with at some point. And the other thing that I want to point out, so remember when we talked initially about doing some kind of like local based development where we would be using GitHub or GitLab as the central repository?
Yeah.
So one of the advantages of that is, do you see how slow this kind of like cache refreshing is and then like going and updating the site? So working on sites that are remote tends to be a lot slower and more time consuming of a process. Versus if we were working out locally, this would be a lot more snappy and easy for us to do development. And we could also use a lot more of our tools that we're used to using locally versus having to use like some kind of shared drive or some kind of centralized like environment for some of this stuff, if that makes sense. Okay, so the position looks a little better, but right now it looks like what I was theorizing might happen where you can't click on the link anymore. So try to inspect the element one more time on the logo there. So do you see how it's highlighted the H2 class there? The H2 that so it's actually getting that title. So if you like made that window a little bit smaller and so you could see more of the site there. Yeah, and then make the HTML window a little smaller too. Yeah. Okay. And then hover over on the right-hand side where it says H2 in the top right window. Yeah. So do you see how that's actually the NBR Science of Science funding project, right? So you can see that's that header 2. And look how much space it's taking up. It's going all the way across the screen, and it's overlapping with the NBER logo that we just created, right? So let's try to fix this. So if you go down below in the CSS window right now where it says inline style, yeah, click in there. Click inside the curly brackets there, and then just say display. And then try colon, and then try inline hyphen block and see what happens there. Yeah, exactly. Then, yeah, exactly. Okay, now hover over the H2 again in the window above this. Hover over it again and see if it looks any different. Okay, so do you see now how it's only on the left-hand side there? And now if you actually go to the left window, the display window, can you actually hover over the NBER logo and see if that's a clickable link again? Should be. Is it not? Nothing's popping up. Not the pencil. Can you make the window bigger? It should be something that's clickable now, but potentially not. Interesting. Let me pull.
The funny thing is, though, is in Edge, it's not. But when we look at it in Chrome, it is.
Yeah. So this is now you're getting into cross browser stuff. Believe it or not, like cross browser compatibility is a whole thing of work onto itself. So things don't always display the same in one browser as they do in another, and there's a lot of frameworks and things that can help auto fix some of that stuff. So there's there's a whole theory of pre-processing style code. So they pre-process CSS with typically it's Sass, this thing called Sass, and basically what that does is it allows you to write more kind of like programming style code. So like things like nested elements and variables and like reusable functions. They call them mixins. And and then it just basically it produces CSS at the end of the day that gets referenced by the browser. But the advantage of it is you can use these mixins that have a lot of cross-browser compatibility built into them. So right now we're kind of doing things quick and dirty a little bit. So we're just like floating things around and moving them around. But typically we could use some of these pre-developed mixins to actually have better cross-browser compatibility for us. Just right now, we're just kind of doing it the quicker way. So yeah, I'm looking on Chrome, and when I look on Chrome on my own computer, yeah, I'm noticing that it seems to be okay. So the 25 pixels important seem to work. I am able to click on the link. So there must be something going on with Edge where we'd have to kind of fix this to make it clickable. It might have something to do with the fact that you're logged in, and the contextual link here, that little pencil, might be messing with it as well. It's hard to tell without me actually going in and inspecting it on my side. I don't have Edge on my computer, unfortunately.
Let me open it up. Another window.
And Debbie, I unfortunately have to hop off again in 2 minutes here. But hopefully this has pointed you at least in the right direction for getting some of these CSS changes in the system.
Well, this is very helpful. Thank you.
Sure. Yeah. No. I hope it's yeah. I hope it's helpful. Let me know if it's not helpful, and we'll either adjust or figure out something else. But
my one question. So, I'll try to fool around with it. I probably won't figure it out. But
sure.
If I do, if there's other changes that I want to make to the site, I would edit the file called component.css file. That's the file to work with.
Yeah, you can probably edit almost any of those CSS files that are there. I just chose so they're using a system called Smax. I could send you a link to it. So it's basically let me see if I can mess that up actually. Scalable and modular architecture for CSS. So there's this whole school of thought on how to organize your style code, and so basically they organize it into base rules, layout rules, module or component rules, state rules. So I think they're kind of following that basic paradigm there. And they're trying to break up their CSS into logical chunks. For what we're doing, it's not really, I don't think it's really necessary for us to, I mean, it'd be great to learn that stuff. I think it's very helpful, but we're really just trying to do a couple little overrides, and we're not really building a whole system or a whole theme ourselves. So I just picked components because it seemed like we're kind of manipulating these little components, but you could really throw that style anywhere in any of those files. And typically it should work as long as those files are being referenced. I think it's fine to keep doing it in the components file because we've determined it's working. But there's not a whole lot of logic behind why we're using that file over another file, if that makes sense.
One interesting thing is I'm trying to open up the site in Edge, just opening it,
Mm-hmm.
and it won't work.
That is interesting. Yeah, I wonder.
Stop. And nothing happens.
I don't know.
That's what I get. Start.
Yeah, it looks like something's happening with Edge to me. So, unless Edge is really... So I don't know much about Edge. So I noticed that the website doesn't have an SSL TLS certificate, so it's not protected by HTTPS. And I don't know if Edge is trying to block sites that possibly don't have a certificate. I'm not sure. I haven't used Edge enough to really be able to tell you.
Okay, I'm trying to open it up in Chrome, too.
Not working in Chrome either?
Not right now.
Well, that's interesting. Let's see. Yeah, it seems to be kind of hanging on my end too. Yeah, I'm getting the same thing. Mine's just kind of timing out. It's possible that Alex is working on something on the server side. Do you know? It might. So, I mean, it is kind of weird timing, right? We just made a save, and now it's slowing down. But I don't see how us making. I mean, I don't know enough about the server architecture over there to really inform it. Something's going on, either at the server or the application layer. Yeah, I'm not sure. It might be something to check in with Alex on, to be honest.
Okay, I know you have to go.
Yeah,
I
so
appreciate it, but maybe we
yeah,
face next week.
yeah, that sounds great. So hopefully, I mean, let me know if you can't get this weird server issue resolved or whatever. So that if we can't get the site loading again, just loop me back in and we can try to figure it out. And hopefully that resolves itself pretty quickly. And then yeah, I would say continue moving on, trying to get some of the CSS added and learning about some of that. And we can always loop in next week to go over this again or go over some new ground if that's helpful. And just let me know, and we'll schedule something for next week sometime.
That sounds great. Thank you so much, Jim.
Awesome. Thank you, Debbie. Have a good day.
Okay.
All right.
You too.
Take care.
Have a
Bye.
good